Hello, everybody. Today I've got a special guest. I have Dan from Screwed Circuit here with us. I known Dan for, I don't know, more than 10 years, 15 years probably.
1998. This was
Or
even before you were a teacher.
well, that's really old, man.
Yeah.
So we known each other for a long time, and actually we lost track like everybody
Mhm.
does at one point, and then we met again last year at Synth Expo in Montreal,
That's right.
and that's where you talked to me about this
Yes.
screwed circuit. This is looking good better here. Screwed circuit, and honestly, I was so happy when I saw you with this, with these, I would say toys, because I know you see them as toys.
Right.
And in my mind, it was like, it fits you so well. It's just you. We had time to talk about it. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show and talk about what is Screwed Circuit, how you got into doing it, because I find it really interesting. And we have a special project that I'm waiting for you to finish for me. And we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that also because I find it interesting and I want people to know that you can do that type of work also. So tell me about how you got into starting Screwed Circuit. First of all, what
Right.
is Screwed Circuit?
Screwed Circuitz, we make handmade synthesizers and stomp boxes and circuit bent instruments from toys that you would find in a Toys R Us or a child's toy. We turn it into lo-fi sounding, some would say, instruments, noise toys, glitch boxes, and yeah, that's my passion. That's my drive. That's my calling. It's so weird, you know. Like I've known for a couple of days now that we were gonna talk, and man, I was just like I had to backtrack all the way to Music Technique and remembering, you know, we had an electronic class and I did not care about that class at all. I was just hoping to pass and that was it. Like I didn't care for electronics. It's so weird. It's so weird
And when you
because
say electronics, you really mean, soldering and
yeah, just the electronic course, you know, like the solder. I think it was a meaty box we had to do back in the day or
I think it was a cable tester we did.
right, that's it.
I still have mine
Yeah.
somewhere.
Mine didn't work. So
Okay.
yeah, but that's the way it went. So I go to Music Technique. I know I love writing songs. I love writing poetry. So in my mind, I'm going to Music Technique. I'm going to learn the ropes, get to know people, and hopefully launch a career of some sort. And everything will come to me. Everything will be easy because I'm going to Music Technique. So I had that type of attitude, which is not the best attitude to have when you're going to school. It's good to have hope and dreams, but it's the effort you put behind it that counts. So,
Yeah.
you know, I was seeing this more like a lottery ticket. You know, I'm going to go to Music Technique, I'm going to pass my classes, then I'm going to have a career, then I'm going to be,
Done deal.
done deal.
Rich and all that.
Yeah, well, yeah. So,
It didn't work
no,
the way you planned.
no, not at all. And, but my love for music never died. Like, I have, you know, I play classical piano, I play bass guitar. Even when I was going to Music Technique, I wasn't into recording. That's so crazy, you know. I got into recording after school.
Okay.
Like I remember I rented, not even bought, rented a 4-track tape cassette and started producing some raw material for what I wanted to create. And anyways, so the idea of having a recording studio came from that, which led me to 2009. At that time, Etsy had blown up. You know, like people like we're going to eBay, and then Etsy came around, and then everybody was
Okay.
checking out Etsy, and I saw a guy. His name is Michael Rucci. He's still on Etsy, and he made these handmade synthesizers in wooden boxes, and I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know what that was. So then my ambition changed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to build the weirdest recording studio in Montreal. That was my objective. I'm just going to buy all these weird sound devices, no regular type synthesizer, acoustic guitar, none of that. Just weird electronic devices. And people will be able to come, you know, record and leave with their tracks. And I was like, that's going to be such a cool thing. So I started buying all this collection. And we got to know each other, you know, I would congratulate him on his newest thing. I even set like alarms where I would get notification as soon as he would post something. I'd be the first one buying it, and that's how it started. And then he suggested that I check out something called circuit bending. And he says, I think you'd really like it. You have the passion and the drive for it. And sure enough, he was right.
What was your first project?
I think I have it here. My first project was it was a toy synth, and the only thing I could get was distortion and later on pitch control. I was so impressed that I had done this, because I have no knowledge. First of all, I'm a high school dropout. You know, I learned everything on my own from A to Z. You know, I got an equivalency to go into Music Technique, and then from there on, I knew nothing in electronics. I knew nothing and the thing that really interested me towards circuit bending was the fact that you didn't need to have deep knowledge in electronics. You could just feel a circuit, and then it would start glitching, and then you would add a switch. You would solder a switch, and that's how it started. I mean, it became a passion. It became a hobby, and to be honest, at that time in my life, you know, so I lost my father, and that was a traumatic experience for me and everything. So that escape was soothing for me, you know, like to be able to take all the time I had in a day to invest and learn and, you know, get into electronics like that. And so basically my routine went from, you know, I had a day job. I was working for an insurance company at that time. So I had a day job, and I was like everyone else. I was watching TV, watching movies, and I realized that I was wasting a lot of time. So I canceled my cable. I canceled like anything that would make me escape and not concentrate on electronics. And my routine would start at 4 in the morning, and I would go to bed at midnight every day, because I wanted to learn, and I wanted to know how to make a sequencer, and I wanted to understand what was voltage control, and I wanted to understand how to have digital switching in a circuit, and I wanted to, so I just needed to, like, and I would waste like at least 3-4 hours a day on TV. So times 5 or times 6, you know, you're up to 30 hours. That's like another shift. So I decided that I wanted to learn more than I wanted to do like everyone else. And
so you bended circuit for a lot of time. You still do it.
Yeah.
Now you do it for clients now. We're going to go to that later. But at one point, what I understand, because we talked about it, and so you build and build and build. Yeah. And one day you figure out you could actually sell them. Yeah,
I was lucky enough to, I met someone who was interested in buying my whole collection, and other people were showing interest. And
how many did you have when you say your whole your entire collection?
It wasn't that much. It wasn't that much. I probably had, I know this won't come to a shock for you, like you know me a bit, but I wasn't making your typical, I'm just going to add a pitch control and there you go. It had to be complicated.
Yeah. So, pitch is so easy. Distortion is so easy. Let's create something else. Photosensitive.
Yeah. Or let's put 40 switches and see what happens. You know, like something crazy like that. So my projects, you know, sometimes, you know, I remember one project. That's my first YouTube video actually on my channel. That was my first big project, and I think I locked myself up in my apartment for like 3 weeks. I didn't come out for 3 weeks. It was summer. I took my summer vacation, and I lived like a shut-in for 3 weeks because I wanted to finish this keyboard. My girlfriend was worried. She didn't know what was going on. I wasn't answering the phone anymore. I was, you know. So let's say like that keyboard took me a month and a half, 2 months. I took 3 weeks to finish it. But, you know, my ambition was to have the experience that I would see other guys have on YouTube that I would follow. And I was like, I want to be like that guy. I want to know, you know, I want to know what he knows. I want to achieve what he's achieving.
Do you still go and shop in thrift stores and stuff like that to find kids' toys? Do you still do that? Or you're not allowed to say yes?
Less. I remember one year we calculated that I'd spend, I think it was like $25,000 on kid toys and chips and all sorts of things.
Okay, so you have to tell us, what's the coolest thing to bend? You know, what if I find something like this, I should buy it in case I want to bend it. What's the coolest or a list of 3, you know, 3 cool things to bend.
It all depends on what you enjoy the most. But let's say you want something like sci-fi on acid, something crazy. Mm-hmm. I would say my favorite still today is the CTK 500, the Casio CTK 500. The glitch points are amazing. And with pitch control, it's just an awesome, awesome synth. And to be honest, it's the first one that I heard glitch like in my room. So for me, that's like the number one synth. And it's a tank. It could take a beating. It'll stand any abuse that you're gonna give to the circuit. It can really, it's a cool synth. Obviously, the Speak and Spell, the Speak and Math, I like that one too, although I was a bit disappointed the first time I bent one.
Okay.
I believe everything I'm going to say that we're going to talk about is my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I don't follow necessarily even the circuit benders trends and all that. I don't always agree with what I see or hear, but I think the thing that's cool about circuit bending is that you create your own instrument. Mm-hmm. If you're going to start checking that out, I see so many people ask for the blueprint of this and how do you do that and this and that. The best thing that I thought, where I felt so free in that art form, was to just open it up and create my own thing. I like things, if I could push the limits of something, I'm going all in. So, you know, that's why it's taking a long time for some people's Speak and Spell coming. Yeah.
I tested this week, and yeah, I can understand that you sometimes push it to the limit. I mean, these photosensitive, I don't know what they do, and I think nobody knows what they do. Maybe you don't even know what they do, but when you play with them, it's so hard to know what you. But at the same time, that's part of the fun part.
Yeah,
exploring
and making something different in a different way, in a different format. You know. A lot of cool synths are out there already with engineers backing them up and big companies pushing their product and everything like that. I find it still cool to find people making handmade synthesizers, and it becomes a very unique piece, you know, and that's what we wanted to recreate, you know.
It's interesting because, I mean, all of these, and this is a liquid drone, all of these are handmade. So in a way, they're all unique.
Yeah.
They're not exactly the same. They all, I mean, just the paint is one thing, but I mean, the circuit inside.
No, but now we had no choice. Now we had to produce a circuit board.
Okay.
But at first, when we started, we were making this all handmade. Cassia's part of Screwed Circuitz as well. She's partner in Screwed Circuitz now. And she's the one who, you see, what happened with that was, this was a project. I wanted to build a sine wave synthesizer.
Okay.
That's how the liquid drone started. I was like, you know what? I'm going to build, I love sine waves when they start droning and just that pure tone. And I wanted to build something. I had an idea. And I wanted the full range, like 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. and I wanted to make this amazing drum machine. It didn't happen. But I had boards, little boards made to translate a square wave to a sine wave. And being the extremist I was, I didn't make 10 boards. I made like 500 or 1,000, or I don't remember. So and one day Cassia's checking the inventory of everything I have, and she finds these boards, and she's like, well, what's this? And that's how it started. That's how the liquid, I shared with her an idea I had, and she said, let me try it. I'm like, all right, well, I'll try it. And I was working on something else, and sure enough, it sounded great. And I was like, I think we could do something really amazing with this. That's how it went. So I still have 1,500 of these boards now. So, because now we're making more of the liquid drone board as a whole. That's Cassia's art on the box. Mm-hmm. And each one is unique. She's an amazing artist. She's a photographer. She's a painter. It's just awesome to have her in the team, because my thing is sound and electronics. Like, I can make a cool box, no problem.
But it will be really industrial.
Yeah, dark.
But so right now, as official line of product, what do you have? You have this, the liquid drone. You have
Lo-fi sampler.
There's a V2. It looks
Very
like
cool.
a construction worker type of box.
Oh, that's the red edition. That's the red edition.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a multimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that. We have the E-Mental Mini as well, and now we're starting a new batch of. We have a synth. We had started a synth called the E-Mental Control, and now we're up to a new version. So we're going to be working on that, and so we're working a lot on, and we're also working on custom jobs as well.
Like mine.
Like yours.
We can talk about mine. I want to talk about it because I want people to know that you can do this, and this is really cool.
Yeah.
I had a French version of the Speak and Spell, which is called La Dictée Magique. It's actually my sister-in-law who called me at one point and says, I found this in a thrift store. Would you like it? It's like, of course, because I used to have one when I was a kid. And at the same time, I had a young son, and I wanted to show him. So we plugged it in. I played with it, and he was so bored about it because for him, everything's technology, and you have an iPad beside it. So that was boring for him. So I took it back into my studio, and it stayed there. And I was always dreaming that one day I could control it musically, make it do something outside of just pressing banane, palm, something more cool. And when I heard about what you were doing, I think it was a drunk night, and it was like, oh, I got to ask him to do it. I have to have this changed. I think the only person I know who could do it is Dan. And so now it's in your hand, and I'm waiting, and I don't want to know. I'm just. I don't want to know because that was the deal. Just to explain to people how we sat down, we talked about it. I said I wanted this to be done, but as you explained to me, is that there's many ways to tweak something, to bend it, and you asked me a question about what I wanted to do with it,
right?
And then I let you do your thing. I didn't ask for, I said I want controls because I've got a CV gate controller here that I'm going to use for that, and that's why I'm keeping it. But that's about it. I don't exactly know how it's going to look. Actually, I don't have a clue how it's going to look. Right. I know it's not going to be the orange box itself because it's going to be exploded into something else.
Right.
And so I'm in my way, I think it's interesting because I'm going to have a unique piece of gear that nobody else has. That's the cool thing. That's the one thing I really find interesting about this. Outside of the fact that I like the sound of the Speak and Spell,
right,
and the French version on top of that.
And you're gonna have one crazy sequencer tied to it. Remember, we talked about that too. You're gonna have one crazy, unique sequencer on this one, my friend, and then you'll have the option to release it and feed a clock and CV, and so yeah, I haven't forgotten, and I'm on it.
It's all good. There's no stress. I've
Cool.
got plenty of things to do, but
Yeah, you're a busy guy, aren't you?
oh yeah, life in this COVID-19 is making
Oh yeah,
us very busy right now. It is,
yeah.
but it's okay. It's as long as you're safe, we're safe.
That's right.
Everybody stays safe. That's what we do. So
That's right. And I'm grateful that I know that there are a lot of people out there that are going through harder times maybe than we are.
yeah,
What I like about my situation right now is that I walk from the back door to the garage and I'm at work.
that was the reality before COVID-19 for you.
Yeah. Usually my day starts at 3:30 in the morning.
Why so early?
I used to be a night owl, and I had a depression at one point in my early life. And I met a Native American, and he was telling me about his culture and how if you get up with the sun and you go to bed with the sun, then you're part of this world and you're part of a good cycle. And that image stuck with me. And I've been an early bird ever since. And I've never had another depression.
Oh,
So, yeah. And now it's just a challenge, to be honest. I usually get up like 6 is a late morning for me. So now because of the COVID-19, I get up like at 6, start my day. But usually it's 3:30 in the morning I get up, and by 5, I like to take an hour and a half to read and, check the news, whatever. Check out YouTube. That's when I check out YouTube, is in the morning.
so I have to relieve my stuff around 5 o'clock in the morning so you see it.
Well, if you release it at night, then I'm happy, because in the
Okay,
morning
good.
I see it.
Good.
Yeah, so we're good. Yeah. No, but that's the truth. Every morning I have a little routine. Creatively speaking, it's good to not have a routine where you could just go with intuition and passion. But then when it becomes a company or a business and you want to realize, like, you want to make a series of instruments or whatever, then there's that other side where you have to have discipline and structure and have to have a goal, and because you need to get stuff out there. My goal with Screwed Circuitz is to earn a living where we're all comfortable and having fun and working hard. I've never really enjoyed working for someone else, but it took me a while before I discovered what I really love to do. And making instruments is what I love to do. And meeting people too. Like Mo Gaudio, they're really good to us. I mean, amazing.
Alex is a cool guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Alex, yeah. I met him once or twice, but every time we meet, very cool, very, I like the guy. And then I found out, I think he was a Music Technique student.
He was also a graduate of Music Technique, yeah.
Yeah.
Montreal is filled with graduates of Music Technique.
It's true. It's true. One of the things that blocked my advancement, my growth with Screwed Circuitz and making instrument was fear. I was afraid to take that step and try to get distribution or try to be in stores, or I thought, I was like, oh, they have everything they need. They don't need a guy like me. When I showed up to show what I was making, this was like pre-lo-fi sampler. It was like these little lo-fi samplers, very, very small lo-fi samplers. Within 20 minutes, I had the manager and 2 other people working in the store just playing with the lo-fi sampler in the store, and I couldn't believe it. Like, they really enjoyed what I was making, and I'm really blessed.
I'm happy about it because I know you've been working hard, and you're still working hard, and you're not stealing it from anybody. You're doing just an honest, hard work, and you're doing something that is, I mean, what I find wonderful is you do it with a vision and a passion that I would say transcend the normal just builder. You do it because you love it,
Yeah.
And that's why when we talked about it, about the piece for me, I said, just do your thing, man. Because I don't want to, I don't want to stop your vision, your inspiration. I don't want to go against what could come out of your exploration because I don't do bending. So I'm going to be a user. But
Yeah.
even if I say I want this, 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 and that, I might go and miss totally a cool option that only you can go, oh, I can do this with that, which I will never be able to say because I don't know. You know, you would have to sit down with me and say, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this,
Right.
and it's not the exercise.
And in all honesty, those are the hardest jobs. When someone comes in and kind of knows what he wants and then dictates that pace of what he wants and the way he wants it and goes way into detail, that's a lot harder for me and for us because you lose that freedom of going, oh man, I could have done this for him, or I could have went even further,
Yeah,
or there was this add-on we could have done, or but like in all fairness, we're lucky because most of the people that we've made an instrument for, in all honesty, they've been really cool people, really cool artists. I mean, we're lucky here in Montreal, and there's so much, you know, open-mindedness and so many cool artists. I mean, the one thing that I'm really surprised is that when I create an instrument and I give it to the artist and I see him perform after, or he sends me a snippet of something, I'm always impressed because he's creating something that I wouldn't have thought of doing myself. And
okay,
then I'm like, wow, I made this. And because I made this, then he's making this. And that's just, it blows my mind. Yeah,
that's
it
cool.
blows my mind.
What was the hardest? No, I'm going to say that because we would have to talk about somebody. Hardest piece of gear, not a person, but a piece of gear you had to bend or to change or to modify.
I would have to say, to answer that question, I'd have to say it came with the experience I had at the time.
Okay.
Because with time, I've developed Nu-Trix and Nu-Trix.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, there you go. Somebody had brought me, and it was in 2010 or 11. It was a Roland, like a tam-tam, no, a pad.
Rolling drum or octopad or and Sonic
And Sonic.
and Sonic.
Man, that was a hard one. That was a hard one. I felt like as soon as if I would sneeze too close to the board, it would like jam up and crash. And oh man, what a headache. So I had to let it go. And I just said, listen, I can't do it. And he was surprised that I didn't even, like, I was honest with him.
He was
And
surprised that you were honest.
yeah,
No.
yeah, that I didn't try to pocket his money. You know,
Okay.
that I didn't add a switch that was, I told him, I said to him that it wasn't interesting enough for me to pursue this. And it would be a waste of money to do it. So just stay with that and find something else, and I'll make it for you. You know, and it does, and I did. I made a guitar pedal for him. I made a couple of things for him throughout the years. But
Is it easier to tweak or to create something off something that is not musical? Let's say a calculator or a kid's toy, or something that is supposed to be musical, like a keyboard, like a Casio keyboard or something like that. Which one is the most difficult or interesting?
they both are. They
Okay,
both are
good.
because it transforms them into something they were not supposed to be.
Okay.
So I love horror movies and drama movies, and that's my thing.
And your
So
YouTube shows that very well.
really,
Oh man, you have a track of poetry with the drum, and it's from the
Red Edition Lo-Fi Sampler.
I'll put the link here. People, you have to go watch this. It's I love it.
Thanks.
I hear your style, and in my head is like Tom Waits meet Nine Inch Nails. You know,
Cool.
noisy and dark poetry. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, we were supposed to, well, actually, it might be in the works, but Cassia saw all my poetry, and she's like, "You have to do something with
Is
this."
she there? Is she there?
Yeah, she's right.
Well, you have to introduce her also.
You want to do this? Okay.
Hi, Cassia.
Hi.
So you're the
Hi.
one doing these all these textures and paintings. These are really cool. This is really cool.
Thank you. And the technique evolved over the past batches. We first started making it. Dan came up with an idea of like a sort of acrylic pour where you just put paint and you just kind of let it free fall and do its own thing. But I wanted a little bit more control over it. So I started adding more paints and pushing it around, and
It's really, I mean, you feel the texture. You know, it's not like what you usually when you touch any type of usual, you know, synthesizer, you just feel like flat, like there's nothing. And this, you hear all the texture and the bubbles. I mean, some places you have bubbles, and it makes it again like a unique piece of equipment, or I would say equipment. It's a mix between art and an instrument. You know.
Right.
yeah, we really wanted it to look good, as good. It wanted it to sound as good as it looks.
Yeah, and that's
cool.
the key. That's the key of everything we try to make. Is we always want to try to. There's no mismatch with what we make. We like to make it. It looks like it sounds. It sounds like it looks. So, if we can achieve that, then for us, that's success right there for us. To come back to what we were talking about, also, where you were asking me like, what's my favorite thing to bend keyboards or whatever. So, the one thing that's really cool to bend a toy, let's say, is that this toy was made for a kid. So it's like it has its innocence, right? It's an innocent kid for a toy for a kid.
I see you coming.
So now I'm playing with the circuit and I'm coming up with this tone that even I will get spooked out if it's late at night. And it's got this toy cover. So now it makes it really weird and spooky, like, you know, Chucky meets, you know, so that was really appealing to me, to make like these dark toys from dark sounds from these toys, but it's limited. So unless you add to the circuit, then it becomes pretty much always the same thing with a few surprises here and there. Whereas let's say a pro keyboard, I remember somebody brought me a DX7 to bend. And I said no. Like, I wanted to. Out of respect for I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna, I didn't want to do that. But let's say, like I have the first synth I ever got was a Korg 01WFD. Yeah, so back in the day, cool.
Okay.
But within a couple of years, whatever. You know, like a piano sound's a piano sound and a string sound's a string sound. So, you know, to bend that, then yeah, you know, like, let's make it really interesting. So, you know, some keyboards.
So right now you're telling me that if anybody has an old keyboard that I mean, it's not worth to sell because it's not, you know, the value is not high enough to sell it, but it could give it a second life by bending it.
Oh yeah, it's like you won't need to buy gear for the next year for sure. I mean, really. I mean, check out my YouTube channel. I mean, what was that drum machine I bent? And I had to hold back because, you know, here's another thing we do as well is that, you know, like I always ask the artist, and it's just to give me an idea of how far I can go, is I always ask the artist, if someone brings me a drum machine and says, I'd love you to bend this, my first question is, how much do you want to spend? Don't ask me how much I'm charging. You tell me how much you want to put on that machine. And then I'll work with that. I'll make it worth your while, but within whatever you're going to get. And no joke, like if someone gives me $45, let's say, and says, I want you to bend something for me, no problem, man, I'll do it. But don't expect the big hoopla, you'll get something.
You have another on-off switch. A second
There you
on
go.
off.
Yeah. So
That's
you got
okay.
a 1/4-inch jack out. No, just kidding. But I'm messing around. But you know, like I can work within. You know, I've had artists that didn't have that much money that showed up, and they really wanted something bent, and so we worked together, and that's cool. And then there's other times the artists that come in with almost unlimited budget that go, okay, well, what can you do with this? And I was like, well, let's go all in, you know. And,
Now you got my mind racing. I'm thinking about everything in my studio that I don't play with, and say, what can I do with it? You know, and then I think about maybe the Volca here. I've got pieces of gear here that I don't play with. Okay, well I'll wait. I'll wait for the speaking
yeah,
spell to come back, and then I'll see what
that'll
else.
be the starting point, and then we'll work on the rest of your studio. But
There's something that I remember when we talked about what you do when you build these devices. That at one point somebody asked you, "What is this knob for?" And your reaction was, "Play with it."
yeah, we were just talking about
Yeah.
that today. Actually.
And when I tested this thing, that's exactly what I remember. It was in my mind all the time. It's like, I don't know what these knobs are for. I don't know what these, sensitive sensor are for.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna play with them, and it's part of the exploration fun. It's just
Right.
like you're gonna discover. And I played with it. And then half an hour later, you can do that also. You never. I mean, there's other things. And in this case, this one is light sensitive. So you move the light, you change it, and then it becomes another instrument.
Right.
And you have to record it because you're never going to get that back. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's hard. It's very hard to get that.
but it's like modular synthesis. You have to
Yeah.
record it because that was that, and it's gone.
Yeah, analog, right?
Yeah,
Analog
analog.
is
So, but
you'll never get the same thing twice, or it's very hard to achieve.
this is almost organic.
Yeah.
By the fact that it reacts to light, it's not just analog. It's organic. It's totally different. So it's
I'm really
like
happy that you like it.
well, I like
That was
it.
my- That was my first fear when I dropped it
No.
off. When I dropped it off and everything, I got back here and I said to Cassie, I said, "Geez, I hope he likes it." Because that's the artist, the insecure artist in me. It's like,
you have an effect pedal, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So what happened was we were supposed to release an effects box 6 months ago, I think.
Yeah.
I can cut this out of the video if you want. We don't talk about it.
It doesn't really bother me, to be honest, because it was a good learning curve for us.
Yeah.
So our team is getting bigger and bigger. So we have a tech with us who at first, because to get a tech with us, it's pretty hard because they don't get it. So
We're not
So-
on the same wavelength.
right.
Artists, and they're very technical, and they're very
We met a guy, he's a tech, he's our tech now, and really cool guy. And so he came in right when we were trying to release this effects box. And technically speaking, it wasn't quite ready yet, but we only discovered that when we started working with him. So it was a good thing.
Okay.
So he came in just in time and said, whoa, and then we started having like some issues.
Okay.
And then he was like, well, do you feel comfortable releasing something like this? And I was like, no. So he's like, okay, well, maybe we should rework this. And so we put a hold on it.
Okay.
And brought us to the effects box now that we're working on. So this was a learning curve that brought us to this. So we have the flip out fuzz that's going to come out. Like, we're making our first batch maybe in a week or two. We've made the prototype and everything. And I love making stomp boxes, effects. It's the next best thing, because you could take any sound and then transform it. Like,
So you can also bend a pedal.
Yeah.
So I've got a-
unlimited.
yeah, you can merge both things. You can make a pedal and then add a bent circuit to it. And
So now my list of things to bandage is growing.
You're
Okay.
we'll do it. We'll exchange studio time for instrument making. No problem. We'll work on something.
I'll do a mix and a remix.
Yeah. But yeah. So well, I think I remember you commenting on. It was a circuit bent voice changer.
Yeah.
And I
that was cool. That was a cool one.
I put a bit crushing on it and everything, and so I'm actually supposed to be working. We didn't hear from him yet. I'll reach out to him tomorrow. But we have an artist that after that video, he wanted to make. He wants us to work on it. He has an idea for. I won't give the details, but he's got an idea, a really cool thing, and it's because of that clip. So that's another thing, you know, like you make a clip of your last creation for someone who was interested in something like that, and then it fuels inspiration to other artists, and then they reach out and go, oh, you know what, I really like that, but could you work something like this and this and that?
Yeah,
sure,
because
no problem.
everything is a unique piece, so
Right.
you can make it to suit somebody else's style. So people can buy your stuff. There, it's sold at Moog Audio. You can also buy it from your website also.
Yeah.
And if they want special commission piece, or they can reach out on your website. They
Yeah.
can reach you out on
Instagram.
Instagram. That's mostly where you are. Instagram and
Instagram's a great way to get in touch with us because we're there. We're always there.
Yeah.
Instagram and the website. And
the website.
yeah, and what's cool is that we have a brand new website.
Guys, it's been a great time with you. I like what you do. I like this, the fact that these are, you know, bizarre pieces of a mix of art and, you know, musical instrument at the same time. There's a lot of experimentation in it. And I really like that part. You know, I grew up with electronic noisy music. I grew up listening to Instead Neubauten and Skinny Puppy, and then I mean noise was part of the result. It was part of the experience. It was part of it. So for me, having this, you'll have to watch the video. And this, I had a lot of fun with it. And I even have. I'll tell you, the one thing I would like to have on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
This knob would be a gate in.
Oh.
Okay. So then I could send it to my kick drum, and it would actually gate the drone, and it would open up only when I want to. So it would become a rhythm instrument. That's it.
That's easy.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well,
That's it.
well, because we know that this instrument's going to evolve at least twice. So yeah, why not? Let's do it. You know, like we just wanted to add a momentary, like, because what happened was when we brought it to Moog Audio, they tried it, and what they did was they tried it in a couple of guitar pedals, and one of them was delay. So continuous sound through delay that's not chopped up once in a while. It's hard to tell that the delay's on.
Yeah.
So, because before that, there was no momentary off.
Okay.
It was just 3 pots, and we wanted to keep it simple, and inexpensive, simple, cool. And when we started our first batch, I said to Cassie, you know what, we really need to find just that one momentary. So if they're going through delay or reverb, you could just cut it. And then real simple, because your hands are already around, right? So
yeah,
to press on.
But you know
what? I like that.
I was thinking about having like a ventilator and put the light on the vent and have it pass in front of it. And just like visual, and you have that movement in it. And then if on top of that I would have this triggered, I would actually leave that and do something else. So it becomes part of the visual show that you see this thing interacting with light when then you go and you play your whatever other instrument over there. So that's why I like this. So maybe if you can.
So you'll be part of the brainstorming team from now.
Oh, I can do it. I can be a beta tester. No problem.
I'll be more than happy to send you every time I have something. It'll be my pleasure to send it to you, and have your input because
I'll have fun with it. That's for sure.
cool. Cool.
I have to say thank you very much for your time. And
Thanks, man.
honestly, I want you two to talk about next time you release something or there's a new version. I want you to come back and say, hey, we have something new, and you
Okay.
demo it and you talk about it because I think it's really cool. When I looked at the demo you do about all these different tools you have, especially the red one, the red edition.
Yeah.
You did a lot of these, and they're just, I mean, when you look at it, you go, okay, now I get it. I know how I can, and it triggers ideas and inspiration. So you're good at it because you know, what I like is that when you do it, you know why you did it. So you've got an idea of how to use it. And others will say, oh, that's cool, but then I imagine how I can do this in my situation. And then when it becomes something else. But the fact that you're doing the demo, I think it gives a depth to how, I mean, especially example, the one with the poem that you did.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that one, it's not just like, okay, this records and playback. No, it's
Right.
just the result that you see.
And
You don't even talk about the use. You just see this is what the result is. And you go, okay, I can do this. Okay, I understand. I see why he's into that. Because the
And that's
texture
what
is...
and that's what we wanted to do. Like that's the reason why I made that song. You're right. It does give an example of here. This is what you can do. It's just like the liquid drone. You know, the liquid drone. Yeah, you're right. It is an instrument to be sampled. Sample it and then lay it on a keyboard and play it. Like go for it. Like create a tone that's awesome, or be abstract and make something. It's up to you. Once it's in your hands, then it's up to you. And then you do your thing. So